Commissioner, just tell our viewers, when did you make the decision to retire, and just take me back to the beginning when you decided that this was going to be it for you?
Yeah, well, I already retired, and Danny, right? Mm-hmm. And I was already retired, and when I was asked to come a year or so ago, come here and help stand up this Office of Community Safety, it started out as an executive order from the mayor, and that was quite a challenge, standing up an office for the first time. And in a city such as this, and the history it certainly had experienced over the last few years, and we were able to really do some good things over the last 2 years. If you remember last July, the city was just stricken with a lot of violence, carjackings and shootings downtown across the city. And I knew then, very early on in August when I officially arrived here, that we needed to do something very quickly. And Operation Endeavor was born out of that. I don't have to tell you about Operation Endeavor. It became a household term. But we had the numbers and the data and the science to support a significant increase and decrease, I should say, in violent crime around carjackings and shootings, etc. And we deployed a lot of resources, both from within our own public safety platforms and support from our law enforcement partners at the federal level, and everybody did a stellar job in that support. And on top, we had to build new relationships and work on old relationships that had been broken. Going back to civil unrest, and in doing so, it wasn't just getting those relationships back, but building those relationships.
Yeah, it's obviously been an eventful year. You had your Operation Endeavor, you had the DOJ investigation, the state settlement. Some will look at your tenure and it'll end up being just a little more than a year. But tell our viewers, why leave now after just a little more than a year?
Probably why I leave now is probably, I asked myself that question when I said, why did I come back, when I said I was never coming back into the workforce. So it's not a matter of this being for any particular reason other than personal to me. I feel that we've been able to do an incredible number of things here in this past year, which now sets the course for someone coming behind me to continue to carry this into the future. So for me, it's not so much a why now question as much as, to me, how much have we accomplished to kind of pass the baton now. We have written and we have utilized the playbook here in this office in terms of how to build and maintain relationships. And you would have seen those relationships played out in Zooms in which we have called hospitals, our sports executives, our medical and hospital executives, our community interrupter groups, you name it, our law enforcement, both at the federal, state, and local level, how when we're able to call for folks to stand up with us and here's what we're preparing to do, the number of people who respond and who engage and want to be part of what it is that we were doing here, because none of this could have been done without them. So it's not so much for me a why now, it's about, have we gotten to a point where we've created this foundation, this launching pad that can now take this Office of Community Safety far into the future and well beyond anything that I would be able to be around here long enough to do.
When you took this job, did you envision you'd stay longer?
When I took this job, it was day by day. And for me, the most important thing for me to be perfectly honest with you, was to deal with the violence that was so prevalent this time last year. And to get a handle on that, not just in the moment, but how do we get a handle on it that would have, some impact over time. And at the same time, being able to convey to the community, getting able to get this data and these numbers out every month, where violent crime was going south, where people will feel a sense of confidence that they can come back into the city and feel safe. And people put their toe in the water, and then they put a little bit more of their toe in the water, their foot in the water. And I think over the past couple of weekends, we've seen weekends such as the Taste of Minnesota to Pride Weekend to Taylor Swift. We've seen people just immerse themselves back into this city in a way that I think we all feel very, very good about, with record-breaking numbers. That doesn't happen by accident. That was a collective effort of everyone in this city, every part of our infrastructure of who we are as a city, having their fingerprints on this. That's what made it happen. All we did was coach this team, but it's this community, it's our business leaders, it's our law enforcement officials who took this across the goal line for us.
One of the things lately that has, in the eyes of some in the community, undermined the police reform efforts was the hiring of Officer Tyler Timberlake. What was your assessment, and how do you think Chief O'Hara handled that situation with Officer Timberlake?
Well, let me say this in return in regards to that. First of all, let me say that that is an ongoing inquiry that is taking place internally, which I'm not going to speak to. I think the most important thing out of all of this as we move forward is that how do we always get better at what it is that we do? What do we learn as we move forward? And we all are subject to changes. We all are subject to things in which we can learn from. And it's no different than this role that I'm in. You know, you make mistakes along the way and you learn from them. You know, whether it was a Twitter war you got into with someone to anything else that may come about. But it's how we manage them, it's how we move forward, and move forward in a way that's going to be the best, you know, to the best interests of the community. And overall, what do we need to keep this community safe? I would tell you this about all my platform leaders, whether it's police, whether it's fire, whether it's emergency management, 911, neighborhood safety. All 5 of those department heads sit with me at this table every week, all 5 of them. And they do a tremendous job in working with each other and collaborating together and supporting each other to do everything that we can to keep this city safe. That's going to have to continue, time 10, because as we continue to move into the future, the challenges in front of us do not stop, because we're going to be challenged by things that are going to be totally out of our control. And it's how we meet that challenge, how we respond to it, and how do we prepare and get out ahead of things before they occur too. And you saw that happen with Operation Memphis, and you also saw that happen with Operation Swift Summer. These are just not operations that are giving a name that are meaningless. These things are wrapped with a great deal of support and energy and data and science and analytics go into all of these operations, so that we're doing the very best that we can to provide a safety net and get out ahead as much as we can to the issues that might be coming upon us.
What's your relationship like with the chief, and is he the person to lead the department through these continued efforts?
He is, and I think as he continues to move forward and learn this job, and as we all continue to move forward and learn these new jobs we are undertaking, I think we all deserve an opportunity to be able to do that. And I wish all of my platform leaders the very best going forward. But I also want all 5 of them to know, and I've said this to all 5 of them as recent as last night, I will always be here to be supportive of you, to be a resource to you at any time, 24/7. And I mean that to them, and I've said that to the mayor and this entire enterprise as well too. Me being gone does not necessarily separate me from here, and I'm always going to be a resource here if need be. And I'll stop what I'm doing to certainly help. Not a full-time job, but to be able to help from wherever I am.
Yeah. What was the mayor's reaction when you told him about your retirement?
No, we had a great conversation, and the mayor spoke very well of the fact of the work that had been done. But we were quite amicable in terms of us sharing our experience of how things grew over the last year, and it has been a real pleasure to be here at the city.
Just really my last question. I mean, you answered it already, but when you look at now what lies ahead with the city, did any part of you want to stick around to see the execution of the state settlement and the DOJ consent decree?
Well, I won't be here physically, but certainly from afar, I, like the rest of the nation, will have eyes on Minneapolis. I certainly will have a different view, having been immersed and being part of this community for over the last year, and playing a role in terms of it continuing to be on the trajectory that it's on, particularly around public safety, more specifically around public safety. I'll be here. I mean, I'll be just like any other citizen, you know, across the country, watching, listening, and I'm very optimistic that this city is going to move along in a way that's committed and to be able to make the necessary changes that's being asked of them to be made by the state and by the federal government.